All right, good morning, members and friends of the Church of the Angels. The church is an independent, non-denominational, interfaith spiritualist assembly. My name is Reverend Jenni Vinecourt. I'm your facilitator today. And today we'll spend about an hour together with prayer, a bit of sharing, and some song. A few things as we get started. You may join us today with just audio if you choose. The church is being recorded so that we can touch in with more folks. And the recording, what shows up on the recording is whoever is speaking. So if you don't want to be seen on the recording and you have a comment or a question, make sure that you turn off your audio. Your audio. No, your video. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I also ask that all the participants keep yourselves muted for the majority of the service unless you do have a comment or a question during the sharing portion. And if so, if you have that comment or question, give me a quick hey in the chat function or raise your hand or something so I can see. So I can ask you to unmute and we can all hear you. I want to mention that if you wish to make a donation, you can do so through the Church of the Angels. Well, that's going to be one of those days. The website, and if you do so, you'll have the opportunity at that time to make it a recurring one if you choose. And I want to give a big thank you to those who have donated already to help keep us going through this difficult time. I do want to mention we are still paying rent on the building that we're not using. So, all donations are extremely welcome. So thank you. And if you would join us in an opening prayer. Mother, Father, Infinite Spirit, thank you for your blessings on all those joining us today to honor your work and experience your grace and wisdom. Thank you for providing the appropriate thoughts, insights, actions, and all resources for us to gain a better and truer understanding of your love by the words spoken and the healing brought forth here today, so that we might lead healthy, happy, and prosperous lives. Thank you for showing us the way to accept responsibility for our lives. We are grateful to know that you are with us always. So be it. And if you choose, please join me in the Lord's Prayer as well. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And I did not ask anybody to read our statement of principles today. So unless somebody has it right handy and can give me a quick hey. Hey, Dale's got it. All right, go ahead, Dale. Thank you.
There is one creative force of which all life is a part. This one creative force is known by many names and manifestations. We recognize and honor the many names and manifestations of the one creative force, the source of all creation, one in God. The energy of life everywhere is continuous. All consciousness is continuous. Communication is continuous. The energy of life, consciousness, and communication never cease, even after the event that is perceived as death. One creates one's own reality. One creates in harmony with the one creative force, the great power of God, of which all life is a part. Reality is as one chooses to perceive, and will change as one grows in knowledge of the inner self and one's relationship with the God of one's understanding. All things are possible with faith, insight, knowledge, understanding, acceptance, and love. Love is the unifying energy of the universe. Love is the energy of the one creative force, the wisdom of God. And all mankind are one in the creatorship and healing force of love and with each other. Love is within us and of us. Love is never apart from us. It is we who separate ourselves from the power of love. The force of God works through love and love.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you very much. And now we'll have a few moments of quiet meditation so that we can concentrate on going within to find some peace and calm and healing for ourselves and for the world. Bobby? I lost you. There you are. Take a deep breath in, let it out, and come back to the present. Remember that we are always connected to each other and to the divine. And please, at this time, add silently or aloud the names of those you wish to include in this healing energy. And use this peace and calm to take care of yourselves and all those around you in your communities and throughout the world in whatever way that you can. Thank you. Okay, all right. Before we have our speaker today, let's, now that we've settled down, let's raise it back up. And Bobby, what have you got for us now?
There's a time for everything, right?
Yes, there is.
Everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep, a time to heal. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time for war, a time for peace, a time for love, no time to hate. A time that you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. At this time? 6 foot! To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to read, a time to sow, a time to love, and no time to hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late.
Thank you, Bobby. All right, and now it's time for some inspiration and thought exchange brought to us by today's speaker. We do invite everyone to address this assembly with words of inspiration, lessons learned, passionate ideas. And today our speaker is Carol Miller. Thank you very much, Carol, for offering. She said she had a talk ready whenever I had an open spot, and today was it. So
Okay.
thank you, Carol. And I give you Carol.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Bobby, for that wonderful playing of Turn, Turn. I asked him to play that. It fits with today's talk. I do want to say that as I looked at it from Ecclesiastes this time, I looked at it more as descriptive of how people act, how we act, rather than prescriptive on how we should act. Because I agree with you, Bobby, no time for hate. So it just describes how people are. So I'm going to start in. Years ago, we're going in time, my dad gave me advice. He told me, Carol, you need to do things, buy things when you want them and not wait too long to do it. Because if you wait too long to do it, you won't want them anymore when you get them, and you will have missed the joy in them. Since it was my dad, I thought in terms of cars. Let's see. And he was right. At 25 years old, we might want a sports car, but at 45, we might want an SUV. If we waited until 45 to get the sports car, we won't want it anymore and have missed the joy in it. And as far as the SUV, well, they weren't even being made when I was 25. So the cars fit the time in our lives and the time in society. Now, maybe you thought this was going to be like a totally serious talk, you know, especially starting with Ecclesiastes, but I can't be too serious too long, and especially talking about cars. I hesitated including some talk about cars, but cars are part of our life while we have them. Plus, I thought I'd do something that the guys might relate to a little bit more this time. However, we all love cars, both men and women. I bought my niece a remote controlled car for Christmas when she was about 6 or 7. I said, I'm a girl, I have a car, and we all love that remote control car, and it was fun. It was a great toy. We all, we all love them. Oh, it was a great toy. And our cars are helpful tools for us, but our cars are also sort of a toy, and we with them. We do. I bet we all remember our first car, what it looked like, how we came to get it. Cars come through during mediumship work. I've given a message about an oil change that really resonated with the receiver. Greg Keene, who is a 4th generation medium at Lilydale, gives lots of messages regarding cars, even bicycles. Our cars, our bikes are part of our life. Last time I was at Lilydale, he told a little girl to check the air in her bicycle front tire. He could see her racing down a hill and needing air in the tire. She agreed, and she said, yes, she speeds down a hill. My godson, who's a graduate of Fellowships of the Spirit, described Greg Keene as being able to tell you the license plate number on your grandmother's VW. He's that good. Cars, even bicycles, are part of our life. As I started thinking about cars in our lives, my mind went even sillier, and I thought of the song by Weird Al Yankovic, To All the Cars I've Had to Drive. It's a spoof on of all the girls I've had to love. And it went something like this: to all the cars I've had to drive, I wonder how the Ford survived, the Volvo in the crash, the Omni that got smashed, to all the cars I've had to drive. The phrase I like is, to all the driveways I have soiled because my Oldsmobile leaked oil, and on and on. I had one of those. I had one that leaked transmission fluid. So that's who we are, isn't it? Sometimes we soil people's driveways or lives in one way or another without really meaning to. We have times in our lives when we leak oil. We live and learn, and people still love and support us. I'm amazed when we drive that there aren't more auto crashes. We protect each other. I consider myself a good driver, with good driving record. And yes, there's times when I save myself and others from a crash, but people have saved me too. And I think, thank you, thank you, thank you. I found a current remake of the song on YouTube with a very romantic Julio Iglesias sounding singer. But as I looked at the pictures of the cars, it wasn't the cars that were important. It was the people in the pictures. Many of the pictures of their cars had families and children in the photos. We had a family photo of all of us dressed up Chevy, light blue. The photos, the cars say who we were. My dad gave the 56 Chevy to my brother in 1961 as a graduation gift. I am sure it was really helpful to him. My other brother received a Corvair for graduation. And I'm not being resentful. Those were the times. Now, me, in those times as a girl, I received electric hair rollers and a bouquet of flowers. And you know what? I wasn't angry or upset. That was those times. Boys got cars, and I was happy with my hair rollers. However, 5 years later, in my first job after college, times had changed. Since girls, the thought was couldn't have older cars that needed repairs, which they couldn't help with. I bought myself a brand new Ford Pinto. And I wasn't, I wasn't happy about it or wasn't angry about it. I accepted that this was how things were. I wanted my own car. And I want to say, my dad was very supportive too. He went to the D. He knew too, it was time for me to have my own car and a nice, good, safe one. Of course, I loved the Pinto. Remember those hatchback. I drove that car out to California with my best friend, Karen, who's in spirit now. Wow, that was an adventure for us girls. Unfortunately, my mom died shortly after that, and my life changed, but I went on. And I have a comment from my friend Karen about cars that I think is really helpful. She said to me, Carol, they're just cars, meaning that despite liking them, we can't take them too seriously, even when a new car gets damaged. That is why we can about them lightheartedly, as long as nobody got hurt. Then I went on to graduate school, and the Pinto needed too many repairs. I switched to a VW Bug. It was great and held up well. However, the battery acid had eaten a hole in the battery sat on a board. I met Dale while I owned that car, and he borrowed it a few. Then I got the Ford Escort. That was the car we took on our honeymoon. It is the car in our wedding album. After a few years, I got an Omni. That was okay, but sort of boring. Then I moved on to the compact trucks. Wow, a whole new world opened up. I remember watching a compact truck ad on TV as the truck raced along the beach, splashing up water. I said to Dale, if I had a truck, I could do that, knowing full well I'd never do that. Prices were good on trucks back then, cheaper than cars, and they were plain. So I got brave and bought my first compact truck, a Chevy S10. It was great. It did change my life. That truck took me to Lily Dale and spiritualism for the first time because I could camp in the covered back of the truck. A few years later, it also brought Dale to Lily Dale. Same routine, sleeping in the back of the truck. I also took that truck to California on a spiritual quest out to the labyrinth at Grace Cathedral in California. But that truck had a problem. It was a 4-cylinder and the transmission had trouble being synchronized with it. When it needed the 3rd transmission, I moved into a 6-cylinder S10. This was better. We then bought our pop-up camper because we could tow it with the truck. This really opened up camping opportunities. We both became healers in the healing temple at Lily Dale because we could afford to stay extended time at Lily Dale in our camper. That truck started getting old. People would say to me, when are you get a new truck? And I would say that I would drive that truck until the wheels fell off. That is actually the best to do with cars. It takes a lot of resources to produce a new vehicle. Well, yeah, that car till the wheels fell off. After driving downtown to the office where I worked to meet with my supervisor one day, I pulled in the agency driveway and a wheel fell off, literally fell off. That was appropriate. That's what the time I wanted out of it. And being stuck in the driveway, my supervisor just said, well, that's okay. I'll come down, meet with you in your truck for supervision till the tow truck comes. So that was my supervision. You know, the cars were our office. We joked that they were, if you got an award at work, well, you can hang it up in your car. So that I had to move on. Then I moved on into the Ford Ranger that I have now. I named it Aragon after King Aragon in Lord of the Rings, since he was also called a Ranger. You know, Ford's been a better truck. Not that I'm doing a commercial, but it has. It's had fewer repairs. When I bought it, I asked if the Ford would be tough, Ford tough, because I would end up beating it up with all the home visits on rough streets, and it's held up. We've continued to camp at Lily Dale, or close to Lily Dale this year during the pandemic. Thanks to the truck, we have the practical means to be active at Lily Dale and grow in spiritualism. But that truck won't last forever. Cars get old, and they pick up tricks. You know, you end up with a trick car as they get older. And so do people too. We get trick knees, you know, trick back. Now the doors freeze shut sometimes in the winter, and I have to race down the basement. I throw hot towels in the throw them on the door and let it thaw. It does work, but eventually too many tricks become bigger problems, and I will need to move on with the times. When that truck, it's time to move on. It's a 5-cylinder, 5-cylinder place sideways under the hood. So it's not as bad for the environment as you would think. But times change. Who knows what we will be driving in the future, if we will be driving. Even the electricity for the electric cars has to come from somewhere. I pictured people 200 years from now just being amazed that people drove their own automobiles places and thinking how dangerous and adventurous it must have been. Sort of like we look at covered wagons today. At this point, I'm going to pull out Ecclesiastes and read it. It's not as nice as Bobby's singing it, but I wanted to read it. I've got the New Revised American version, and the wording's nice and comfortable. It's described as reflections of a royal philosopher, which makes me think, yeah, it could be descriptive, not prescriptive. Let's see here. For everything, there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones, and a time to gather stones together, time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. Yes, unfortunately, I'm with you, Bobby. Not the time to embrace, darn it. A time to seek, a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to go away, a time to tear, and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak, and a time to hate, but no time to hate, a time for war, and I swear it's not too late. So it does kind of describe what our lives are like. And we all know we are in strange times. I've heard several people say, so this is not my own thought, say that we will be asked by children 10 or 20 years from now, what was it like during the COVID pandemic? And when all this was going on, what did you do? How was it? How did people survive? That's the question we want to be able to answer and feel we did our best to be helpful, to work for the greater good, the highest and the best. We can't all be heroes, but we can do our part to stay kind and helpful. But it's hard, it's challenging right now. We're all stressed in many ways. My neighbors come to the door without a mask, and I wonder why. Why are they doing this? But they were just distracted. This whole mask issue and safety is a stressor in a lot of ways. All we can do is to remember the natural law that we are all in the universe together as one and accept each other. I'm going to close with a quote from Gandalf the Grey in Lord of the Rings, especially since my truck is named after Aragorn, a Lord of the Rings character. I'm going to read it really carefully because it's kind of in British English. I don't want to mess it up. So Frodo, the young character, says, I wish it need not have happened in my time. So do I, said Gandalf. So do all who live to see such times. But it is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. So in whatever way we see things coming to us, if we see it as a birth plan or lessons or however we see things, ours is to decide what to do with the time that is given. Open for questions.
Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, and are there any comments and or questions from the floor? Sue Mullen, go ahead. I'm going to ask you to unmute and go ahead and ask your question or comment.
I have a comment. Speaking of cars, I actually have two. But there was a few years ago, I was walking up to the rain tree and there was a VW van parked right there and it had historical plates. And I'm like, well, how could that possibly have historical plates? It's not that old. And the people next to me says, it only has to be like, I think it was 25 years old. And I'm doing the numbers. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess they're right. You know, time. So, then I'll tell you real quick, I was at a body shop recently and I asked what was in the next room and I opened the door and the man collects old foreign cars like Italian cars and from the UK. Like he had an Italian called a Panini and they were perfectly painted, perfectly picked up. It was like, I didn't dare walk in the door. You know, I was like, oh, I'm not touching anything in here. Anyhow, that's my comment and I liked your whole thing today, by the way.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you so much. All right, anybody else? Judy Naren, go ahead.
Well, Carol, I have to say, when you started talking about cars, I went, really?
I know.
Really? But you know, as you did that, I think one of the very first thoughts that you put out there is what your dad said. And it's interesting how often we put the joy aside. We get so serious about the work and the healing work or what we can do and everything. And without the joy, as Eckhart Tolle would say, is in his top 3 in terms of spiritual experience, is the joy. And I did in my early 20s, when I was in my late teens, I saw an Opel GT. Now, most of you aren't old enough to even remember that car or know that it exists. But it was a little sports car, Opel GT, and I really wanted one of those and thought I would never have it. And sure enough, in my 20s, I had got my Opel GT. And because I had the satisfaction of having that, and I did enjoy it, and I realized that that wasn't it, you know? And so as you were talking about that, and I thought about the different moments where I had those joys of fulfilling something that I thought I desired, needed, or wanted, I also realized that most of those things along the way, once that was satisfied, I realized that wasn't it.
Oh.
You know, so every time it allowed me to go a little deeper spiritually about what really, where that joy really comes from. So thank you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We move on. It's like Lydia. Oh, a couple people.
Oh, okay. Hi. I just wanted to say that I love cars. And just last night, I was telling one of my friends that about my cars. Last night, I was talking about my first car, my second car. Cars was in my reality last night. And I just wanted to say that cars tell a lot about who we are, everybody's car and themselves, kind of like dogs to people. But I just want to say that I like sports car, and I knew what an Opel was, by the way.
Yeah.
I know about Opels, but anyway, I love sports cars, but I also love people more, so I have to have a bigger car so I can have more people in my car, and that's why I have a bigger car. But it'd be nice to have both, and someday I will have both. I will definitely have both someday because I love to have a sports car. Just they're fun, and it's a different deal. You know, it's life is just wonderful when we can have whatever we want, and I do like that idea of having whatever we want in life. So that's all I want to say. If other people want to talk, anyway, thanks.
Thanks, Lydia. Shannon Williams.
Here we go. Can everybody hear me? Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. Carol, thank you so much for that message. It was wonderful. And when you mentioned about the gifts that you would receive versus your brother, I thought about my brother when we were younger. My older brother, he would get Matchbox cars, and he collected them, and he had quite the collection. And I finally said, like, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I said, Mom, I want Matchbox cars too. I want to collect them. So my mom completely supported that, which was awesome because I came from a very traditional background. And I still have my Matchbox cars to this day that I'm going to give to my boys. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah. But on a second part too, when I think of cars spiritually, I think of the journey. And I learned a long time ago as a teenager when I started going to a spiritualist church, I always heard, and this is different for everybody, but this is just me speaking personally, that when I would dream of cars, like when I was sleeping, I would have a dream about a car. It was about the journey. And so I've learned to listen to that. And certain people would be in the car with me. And if they were driving, that meant that they were in control. If I was in the passenger seat, and sometimes I'm in the driver's seat, but it's very interesting when you listen to your dreams and cars are involved because it's very important, a very important message. So I was thinking of that too. So I wanted to contribute that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Reverend Barbara Douglas, did you have a comment?
Yeah, everybody's kind of come close to it, but one thing for me is that a car is the way we journey through life. So it's sort of a state of consciousness, and I don't simply look at myself as not being happy with a car after a while. I look at myself as expanding in to another state of consciousness when I get a new car. So I've been kind of interested about some of your comments as to, like Lydia, you were saying you really want 2 kinds of cars, and that's fine, you know, and I love it. But anyway, I was very interested, and thank you for your litany of all the cars. That was very interesting.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, I'm going to take another look and see if there's somebody else. I'm thinking there is, and oh, Batya, go ahead.
Cute. Okay, hi. Yeah, that was great, Carol. I had a truck with a hood over it in the 80s, and I called it Rocinante. And I went all over. I never thought of it as being on a spiritual quest, but actually it was. I went to the desert and all up the West Coast into women's lands and everything. And then, of course, I had that van that everyone used to paint on at festivals. And I finally sold it. When I got my land, I got a little car because I was going back and forth to Virginia, and I was upset about the gas expenditures. So I got a little teeny car. And I had 2 cars because I had the van that I would use at festivals. But I finally sold it because it was too much, and I broke my ankle and I wasn't doing festivals anymore. And I tried to get historical plates, and it wasn't old enough. And somebody came to take it away for parts, you know. And I told him the whole story of it. And he has a daughter, and I showed him Kate Millett's signature was on it. And she's like this famous feminist writer. So he said he would preserve the shell, but it was like I was parting with a piece of my heart, you know, because it had so much spiritual energy from all the collective painting on it from over the years. And then I wanted to get a Jeep. I fell in love with this yellow Jeep because I needed a four-wheel drive on my land, but I never went through with buying it. And I found out that I could get $2,000 from a class action suit for my little teeny car. So I put the money into repairing my car and sprucing it up, putting, you know, heart and love into my little car. But I've had such strong relationships with cars, so I really loved hearing you talk like that. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Batya. All right, I am going to take another look. Let me go to the next page and see if there's anybody. All right. If there's some, Cindy Hudson, yes. Nope. Okay. Maybe later. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Tanda Sil?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
First of all, thank you, Carol. You brought back a memory that ended up being such a journey and a leap of faith. I was very young, a single parent with 2 children. I'd chosen to move to a very remote location in southern Ohio. And I lived in really in the middle of nowhere. And even though my father had helped me buy a car, I was out to buy a car that would be more appropriate than a Ford LTD, getting up and down hillsides and rutted roads. And I went to a used car lot on my own and bought a Volkswagen hatchback that was this lemon yellow color, and it was very fitting because it was a total lemon. Didn't know how to drive a stick, and the guy wanted to sell it to me badly enough that he actually taught me how to drive a stick with my 2 kids in the back. And off I went, and left me stranded everywhere. And what was so interesting is I met so many wonderful people out of nowhere that always came to my rescue and showed up. Back when there were no cell phones, and my kids would just hang out in the back, and somebody would show up, and I'd get up and running again. And there was this whole community that just came out of nowhere. So what a leap of faith, and I need to be reminded of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanda. And thank you again, Carol. I'm going to go ahead and close up the questions. I think we've caught everybody. I think. If not, hit me up on chat and we'll come back to you. All right. Announcements. Next week's speaker is Lydia Pleshia. Did I say it right, Lydia? Is it close?
Yeah, it's close.
How do you say your last name? How do you say it?
Well, there's 2 ways, Plesha or Plesia. I go by both.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me.
All right. Well, Lydia, our own Lydia, is next week's speaker. Okay. Monday, tomorrow night at 6 p.m., the book group is meeting. We have read The Alchemist, and we're going to begin discussing that. If you want to join us, the women's book group, there is information for Zoom on Facebook, on the church's Facebook page. This Thursday at 7 p.m. is our next thought exchange. Also, information on Zoom is on Facebook for that. Want to mention that our annual seance event is going to be online this year, October 29, 30, and 31. So there are still spots for that. You need to get in contact with me. You can email the church and you can catch me through that to reserve your spot and get the Zoom information for that. And elections are coming up on November 8th. In order to run for a position on the Board of Trustees, you must be a member for at least 6 months, meaning you must have joined the church by May 10th, not 6th. And to vote in the election, you must have been a member for at least 2 months, which means you must have joined by September 13th of 2020. I believe that the annual meeting was going to be online this year. The Board of Trustees is working at this moment and continuously on having an in-person service every other Sunday starting November 1st. Of course, that may change at any moment, but that's what they're working on right now. So that's good news. And watch for more information on that through the newsletter and on the website. And we will The plan is to hopefully record, not have a Zoom service on those days, but record that service so it can be found online, and then having a Zoom service the other Sundays. So at any rate, all of that will be written down somewhere, and you'll get more information on that and all the regulations that we have to go by to open up the church. But I believe that's it. Do we have any announcements from the floor? Take a quick look. And if there are, just unmute yourself and say, hey, because I'm not seeing you. Okay. All right. And now we'll move into some message work. As spiritualists, we believe that the energy of all beings is forever linked, that all of us have direct access to the love and guidance of loved ones, guides, teachers, saints, and angels on the other side. We have mediums who have joined us today who have agreed to be of service and connect up with Spirit to bring forth a few messages for us. And first, I'd like to call on Reverend Vicky. Would you start us off? And Reverend Cindy Hudson, would you work on muting yourself? That would be great. Thanks,
Good morning.
Vicky. Good morning.
Mark Zor, would you like a message? Mark Zor. I'm seeing for you. Okay, welcome, Mark. We're seeing some spirits bringing in some new guides for you. You probably are going to feel some new energy around you. You've been working on this, and it's going to open for you really soon by December. So just be ready. New energy coming in for you, and I'll leave that with you with Spirit's blessings.
Thank you.
Okay, Stephen Mara, would you like a message? Are you there, Stephen?
I'm here, yeah. Sure, I would love one.
Hi. Spirit is showing on your father's side coming in real strong for you. And they're saying they all had the gifts. They had the gifts, and they sometimes put them on the shelf. They're asking that you take them off the shelf because you have a lot to give. And this feels like a great grandfather on your father's side coming through. And he's saying, I'm here to help you whenever you feel that you can't do it. I'm here supporting you 100%. And I'll leave that with you.
All right. Thank you so much, Vicki. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you for letting me serve.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Reverend Cindy, I believe you have unmuted yourself. Would you give us a couple? Thank you.
I did. I'm on a tablet, so I was a little challenged. But so Luann is not on video, I see, and she's muted. But maybe if she could unmute, let me know if she would like a message this morning, Luann Baker. I don't know.
She is unmuted, so I think that means yes. Go for it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Reverend Jenny, and thank you, Luann. Spirit is showing me that you know, some habits, we think we've moved on from them, but they are still difficult. We kind of get into some of our knee-jerk reactions or some of our falling back into old ways, which is why sometimes it's so hard to establish a new habit. And Spirit's wanting to say you need to, as Wayne Dyer says, but to banish the doubt. Don't let those old hauntings of insecurities and self-doubt creep back in, because they have no place in your life right now. All of the changes and all of the transitions that you've made in your own life and your own development and everything that's happened for you, you are a new person. And so those old habits and those old doubts and insecurity have no place in this new life. Knock it off, banish them. They have no bearing for you now. And they really want you to know that, so that you can move forward into this change of seasons with a little bit more calm, confident self-assurance, a little more grace moving forward. Not that you lack that, but just to enhance and raise it up a notch, okay? And I leave that with Spirit's blessings. And I will look and see who else I have here that would like a message. And one quick moment here. Vanessa Pellegrino, would you like a message this afternoon or morning or whatever time of day it is, Vanessa?
Yes, please.
Hi, good morning. Okay, Vanessa, thanks. Vanessa, I feel like there's a couple of people with you in spirit. Are your mom and dad in spirit? Have they
My
passed
dad
away?
is.
Okay. And there's a woman who connects in with you also who might be a generation back, like maybe a grandmother, but I feel it's more of a maternal link, like your mom's mom. Okay. You've got a lot of energies around you at this point in time, because there's also, they're kind of showing me this like swirling indecision, I guess I'll say, about some pretty important choices that you have and that you want to make. And they are all coming through loud and clear saying you don't have to rush anything. You know where you have to prioritize things. And yeah, you can't put stuff off forever, but there are some things that can be down the road a little bit. And that's to your advantage to not rush or force any decisions before it's time. I guess we're going back to the term of time. But they really don't want you to feel pressure, and they want you to take your time with these choices and consider in all this swirling, I won't even say turmoil, but all this indecision, you need to kind of pick one area, pick the next area, pick the next area. Know that you're going to be choosing things in the order that they are meant to be resolved, because you will. You know that, and you will know that. You'll be guided with that, and you know that. So they leave that with your blessings. They're very proud of some of the shifts and transitions that you have made. They're showing me that, you know, a few years ago was a lot different than where you are today. Like, yeah. And it was some hard times back then. And they are just so proud of you for making it through with the grace and integrity that you've gleaned from all of this. I guess I get things in the sense of feelings, and so sometimes it's hard to put into words. But I feel that they're really applauding you for the results that you've gotten, considering the tough hand that you were dealing with. I hope that makes sense to you, Vanessa. And I leave that with their blessings. Thank you. Okay, and thank you, Reverend Jenny, for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you so much. Anne Marie, do you have one?
Yes, I do. I have a couple. Micheline, I hope I'm saying your name right. May I come to you? Okay.
I see smiles, yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
When I looked at you, it's a message from Spirit. They're showing me flowers all around you, mainly daisies and wildflowers. They're just so happy with what you're doing. I'm not sure what that is, but they're just saying that oops, I'm going to switch over to get you here. Whatever, it's showing the blossoming of whatever you're working on, whatever. They're saying that they're really happy about that. It might be something about a project or new ideas that you have that they're blossoming, and they're there to help you. If you need some help, just go to Spirit and they will help you with those projects. Does the name Beth or Bethany resonate with you for anything? Do you know anyone by that name?
A Beth.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're showing me a child, a baby, and connected with that name. Whether they're a child or not, it's more of the nurturing, that you're there to help nurture this Beth. Maybe you're going to be a teacher to her or something, but you're there to help nurture that. Yeah, that's about it. I write things down as I see them, but thank you for allowing me to give you that message, and I'll leave that with Spirit's light and love.
Thank you, Anne Marie. I appreciate that. And thank you to Lydia, who I met for the first time yesterday, and she encouraged me to attend today's service. And I'm blessed that she gave me that opportunity. I did not even know about this group. So thank you, Lydia. I appreciate it. Thank you, Anne Marie.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anthony, may I give you a message? Is he still on?
Let me look. Anthony, where'd you go?
I see his picture, but I don't see him.
He's still on. He's trying to say he's here from inside. Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Thanks, Samantha.
I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, I was indisposed. Hello.
That's all right. Anthony, may I come to you with a message?
Yes.
Okay. this message, I see two people standing behind you, a man and a woman. Are your parents in spirit?
No.
Okay, maybe this is grandparents, but these are two people that are very close to you and very supportive. They're saying that there's something that's been weighing heavy on your heart, and they are there to help support you. If you think it's getting to be too much, just give it to them. They will give you a guidance. She's showing me that she's whispering in your ear. So there may be like little whispers, little messages that you just have to listen for them. But just know that they're going to be there for you. They're giving reference to the reading that Carol gave today about there's a time to speak. There is going to be a time for you to speak, and you'll know when that is. They're going to be there to help you with it. They also say that you have it in you. You're a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for. And they just want you to know that you can do this and that you are a very strong person. And whenever you need that support, know that they're there to help you. I leave that with Spirit's blessing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Anne Marie. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for your kind attention, and thank you to all the participants and the mediums, and especially to Spirit and the God of your understanding for being with us today and always. For those who may be new with us today, you can learn more about the Church of the Angels at our website, which is www.thechurchoftheangels.net. Our email can be found there as well. It's thechurchoftheangels@gmail.com, and you can reach me through there as well if you have any questions. And now, I just wanted to mention that verse is Ecclesiastes. I couldn't say the word. It's chapter 3, verses 1 through 8, I think. So it's going to be close to that. Carol's saying yes, that's what it is. Good. Awesome. Thank you. And now, Bobby, will you give us another song? And then remain with us, please, for our closing prayer.
Here we go, everybody.
Oh, boy.
I got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I got that love from Spirit in my heart. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I got that love from Spirit in my heart. I got that love, 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 love down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I got that love, 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 love down in my heart. Down in my heart. Stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I got that love from Spirit in my heart. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I got that love and Spirit in my heart. I got that peace that passes understanding down in my heart. Yeah, down in my heart. Down in my heart. I got that peace that passes understanding down in my heart. Way down in my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I got that love and Spirit in my heart. Yeah, I'm so happy, so very happy. I got that love and Spirit in my heart. Go ahead, Jenny. Jenny? Jenny? Where are you?
I was muted. I'm sorry.
Hello? Are you okay?
I'm good. Go.
Goodbye.
All right. Thank you. In closing, let us pray. Infinite Spirit, Mother, Father God, as we move forward, we thank you in advance for the guidance and resources you always provide for us to live the fullest expression of your love. We pray for all those affected by the circumstances throughout our world at this time. May we be reminded of the opportunities to reconnect in love to all those around the world, to Mother Earth and the universe. Amen. Oh my gosh, Bobby, I thought for a minute you were asking me to sing. Oh my goodness.